Please be advised that viewer discretion is strongly recommended. None of the content presented here has been exaggerated or taken out of context. These are the exact statements made by the prosecution team, defense team, Jane Doe. On June 10, 2025, some words have been censored to comply with YouTube's guidelines. What you're about to hear is a voiced-over reading of Jane Doe's cross-examination testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Source: courtroom reporter at Inner City Press and at Jewel Mancy on X.com. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Listen at your own discretion.
Jane, we met before. Then you stopped meeting with the defense. That was your choice, right?
Correct.
You are testifying against Mr. Combs?
I'm testifying against him?
How many times did they prep you on how to be cross-examined at this trial?
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
Did you bring in other prosecutors to cross you?
Yes.
And they granted you immunity at the grand jury, right?
Yes.
You said you had regret about some of the choices you made with Mr. Combs?
If you have it, I'd love to look at it with you.
You chose to participate in that lifestyle for many years, and you did not want to break up with him, right?
I did not want to.
You had sex with other men for years?
I resent the emotional control. I was hooked from the start. There was pressure to perform these acts my lover desired.
You used the word partner again and again on direct. He was your partner?
Yes.
You said you're having trouble answering for yourself why you had sex with these men?
Yes.
You are in therapy now?
Yes.
You love Mr. Combs.
I love to spend time with my partner.
You wanted to cuddle with him?
To give him foot rubs. You said...
At this moment, the prosecution objected, saying, "Objection to counsel making herself a witness." But it was unclear if it was overruled or sustained.
I love to bathe him, and we watch his favorite show.
Which show was that?
Dateline.
Did you believe he was not doing this with anyone else?
During this time period.
You'd look at his messages?
Yes. He was vulnerable in those hotel rooms, and I shared that with him. It was conflicting. I was breaking all my boundaries so that he would feel loved.
This brought you two together?
Yes. The love-making afterwards. That's why I enjoyed it.
You tried to be very sexy to him in those rooms?
I think I was sexy in those rooms.
Because you are a beautiful woman. Did you choose the wardrobe?
Initially, he did.
He liked baby oil. It turned him on.
Yes.
How old were you when you started your relationship with Mr. Combs?
35.
What are examples of your fantasy talk in those rooms?
He would have me and the entertainer be in a role play. Cheating role play. That Sean left town.
How high were your heels?
6 to 7 inches. Usually I wear 3 to 4 inch heels.
You wanted your child to be closer to your child's father, but did the father see the child?
What does that have to do with this?
Would you fly weekly to Miami to see Mr. Combs?
Sometimes.
We listened to 5 voice notes in which Mr. Combs sounded angry, but he'd sent you thousands, right?
Yes.
Why did you feel he was larger than life?
Bright light. He introduced me to the gospel. He had a favorite pastor. He'd watch on TV.
Has that stayed with you?
Yes.
Do you watch that pastor today?
At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained.
How much did he invest in your dress line?
$20,000.
Why did you join OnlyFans?
If I could get off it, I would. Financial need.
Mr. Combs gave you money throughout the relationship. In 3.5 years, does $150,000 sound right?
I would assume.
You told the government you gravitate toward providers?
Yes, as a woman, I like that.
You called the house our house.
Later, I saw it as my house.
You thought it was important that his staff not know about the entertainers, right?
At this moment, the prosecution objected, but it was overruled.
Right.
And that's a reason you got the house, that, and a yard for your son?
Can you say, my child?
I'm showing the jury some of your text and audio messages with Mr. Combs from March 2023, right after the Turks and Caicos trip. You testified earlier that during that trip, he surprised you with an entertainer and a hotel night, which caused an argument.
Yes, it really upset me, and it affected us for a few days.
But in the messages you two exchanged afterward, you both sounded affectionate. Mr. Combs told you he loved you?
Yes, in a voice note.
He also mentioned something about a contract. What was that?
He was referring to our love contract. After we agreed on it, he rented me a home for $10,000 a month.
And you recorded a message back to him. Would you say you sounded happy?
Yes, I told him I had so much fun on the trip, that I loved him and felt closer to him.
You said, everything just feels good and I'm so happy.
That's right. I did have fun with him. I was expressing love for the time we spent together, except for the part involving the entertainers. When I moved into my rented home in April 2023, Sean paid $40,000 up front to cover the security deposit and the rent for the first month and the last month.
The landlord already possessed several months of rent payments in case Combs ever decided to stop paying the rent, correct?
Yes.
Did Combs indicate that he was also open to paying 3 more months of your rent, even though you were about to break up?
Yes.
Did you ever believe Mr. Combs would stop paying your rent?
There were some times that I definitely felt that he would do that, and he used it kind of like a little tool. The rent was always just like a little reminder.
Can you confirm the conversation you had with Mr. Combs regarding your financial situation?
Yes, he asked me, "You need 3 months' rent." I told him I was struggling a bit.
And what happened after that conversation?
I confronted him later about some things, and then, out of the blue, he sent me $20,000.
Was this money solicited by you in any way?
No, I didn't ask for it. It was completely unsolicited.
And how did you use the $20,000 Mr. Combs sent you?
I used it to buy some nice furniture for my place.
The court heard you sent Mr. Combs a text after receiving the money. Can you describe that message?
I texted him to say thank you and called him baby. I was just grateful for the help.
So, to clarify, you expressed gratitude and used an affectionate term, correct?
Yes, that's right.
The court heard a voicemail from Mr. Combs where he referred to you as crack pipe. Can you explain what he meant by that nickname?
It was just a playful thing from our trip to Turks and Caicos. We had a lot of fun, and he gave me that nickname, crack pipe. Well, he said he had an addiction to my texts. It was mutual, just fun banter.
And how did you respond to this voicemail from Mr. Combs?
I texted him back, something like, "Crack pipe is so real for the both of us. It's definitely mutual. I just like everything you said. I am so thankful. I had so much fun. Turks was absolutely incredible. I am so happy."
So, your response was positive, expressing gratitude and enthusiasm about the trip and the nickname?
Yes, exactly. I was just happy and having fun with it. The trip was amazing, and I wanted him to know I appreciated it.
To confirm, this exchange was lighthearted and reflected a mutual enjoyment of the time you spent together?
Yeah, it was all in good fun. We were just joking around and enjoying the vibe from the trip.
You mentioned things changed when Mr. Combs started spending time with you in Miami.
Yes, it became difficult for me about 6 months to a year after we started dating.
What made it difficult?
Their relationship was very public. They posted about each other all over social media. Meanwhile, mine with him was very private.
How did that make you feel?
It wasn't what I signed up for. I didn't agree to date a man who was in a public relationship with someone else.
You testified about a trip to Miami when you were still getting to know Mr. Combs. Can you describe what happened during that trip?
Yes, we were in Miami, and he bought me a pair of shoes, a Bottega Veneta bag, and a bracelet.
During this trip, did Mr. Combs discuss his lifestyle with you?
Yes, he explained that he led a polyamorous dating lifestyle.
And how did you react to that explanation at the time?
At first, I didn't mind. We were just getting to know each other, so it wasn't a big deal to me then.
But your feelings changed over time?
Yes, as I developed deeper feelings for him, it became difficult. I was feeling my man and wanted him to be mine.
You also mentioned feeling there was an imbalance in how Mr. Combs treated you compared to his other girlfriends. Can you elaborate?
I just felt like the way he treated me wasn't the same as how he treated some of the other women he was seeing. It felt unequal.
So, to clarify, your concerns about the imbalance arose as your emotional attachment to Mr. Combs grew? Let's talk about your first trip to Turks and Caicos. What did you observe about him?
On the flight, I noticed his hands were shaky. His eyes and teeth looked off, and even his coloring seemed unhealthy. I could tell he wasn't taking very good care of himself.
Did you suggest anything to him?
Yes, that he considered going to a rehab center in Thailand.
So, you knew early on he was a drug addict?
In the beginning, I didn't really know how to label it. I just saw someone who was overdoing the partying.
But later on?
As our relationship went on, I started noticing a very strong pattern. I still didn't call it addiction at the time. Now, I'd say he was a drug addict. But back then, I just thought he was a really big party guy.
Did you know if he was on any prescription medication?
Toward the end of our relationship, I found out he was taking antidepressants.
And you wanted him off drugs?
Yes, I wanted him to return to his natural form. He even told me once that he was interested in trying ketamine therapy.
Ms. Jane, would you agree that you willingly participated in the so-called hotel nights?
At the time, yes. I felt I had to keep the relationship.
But no one forced you to take part?
Not physically, no.
And you were aware that Mr. Combs practiced a polyamorous lifestyle?
He told me early on, yes.
Yet you chose to stay in the relationship for quite some time?
I did. My feelings for him grew deeper.
And during this time, he supported you, paid your rent, gave you gifts, covered expenses?
Yes, he did all of that.
Would you say he was kind and generous at times?
Yes, he could be very generous.
So your relationship, though complicated, had moments of affection and mutual agreement?
It did, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt or feel controlling.
During the hotel nights, did you and Mr. Combs spend time alone together?
Yes, we'd usually have about 30 minutes to an hour alone before the entertainer came. And some time afterward, too.
And how did you feel about that alone time?
I actually enjoyed it, especially when we made love. That part felt intimate.
So he gave you the attention you were seeking?
Yes, he gave me the affection I wanted during those nights.
Was that typical of him?
No, he wasn't generally that affectionate, but on those nights, he was the most affectionate.
Were red lights and baby oil only used during the hotel nights?
No, they weren't exclusive to those nights.
Where else were they used?
He used them during our other sexual encounters, even in his private residence.
Were you aware that the hotel nights were being filmed?
Yes, I was okay with it.
And Mr. Combs told you the videos were just for the two of you?
That's what he said.
You put on a good show for him in these videos because you knew he would watch them again?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you enjoyed rewatching the hotel night videos with Mr. Combs?
No, I did not like that part.
But you still did it?
Yes, it was just a part of the relationship, something I tolerated, even if it made me uncomfortable.
Let's talk about the hotel nights. What was your understanding of why Mr. Combs wanted them?
They were driven by his desires. I'd label it as cuckold, a man being turned on by watching his woman have sex with another man. That term was spot on.
And why did you participate?
Out of love, I wanted to please him.
Did Mr. Combs ever explain his motivations?
He liked to call it voyeurism. I use the word cook for myself. I also think there may have been some bi-curiosity involved. Cucks can be curious, but too afraid to act on it.
Did he ever stop a hotel night because you wanted to?
Yes, there were a few times he ended it early when I spoke up and said, I wanted to stop.
And if you weren't comfortable with one of the men, he'd dismiss them, correct?
Rarely. Only after I had already tried to interact with them sexually for some time.
But he was responsive when you were uncomfortable?
No, not readily. I had to go through the motions first before he considered letting them go.
Let's talk about the 2 times you said you cried after a hotel night. Do you remember the first?
Yes, it was early in the relationship. I cried because Sean was about to leave right after the hotel night.
And when you asked him to stay with you?
He changed his plans. He stayed to comfort me.
The second time, you were in the shower together?
Yes, somewhere in the middle of our relationship. I started crying in the shower after another hotel night.
And was Mr. Combs high on ecstasy at that time?
He said he was. He told me, "You're going to ruin my high," and said he was too high to see me cry.
Let's go back to your earlier testimony. The hotel nights, or as you also called them, freak-offs.
Yes,
You described these nights as being driven by Mr. Combs, correct?
that's right.
But there were moments, weren't there, when you had some say in how things played out?
There were a few times I voiced what I wanted or didn't want.
Was it entirely without your input?
No, not always. Sometimes I was able to speak up, though it didn't always change the outcome.
Let's go over the messages between you and Christina Coram. These were sent around the times he allegedly asked you to bring to Miami, correct?
Yes,
You testified earlier that you had a phone conversation with Ms. Coram during which she told you it was fine to bring the drugs and even instructed you to put them in your checked luggage.
yes.
But the messages read here today, they don't mention her saying anything like that, do they?
No, they don't. But we spoke on the phone. She said it verbally.
When Ms. Coram traveled with Mr. Combs, do you know if she flew on his private jet?
I assume she did, yes, but I can't say for sure.
Would you describe your relationship with her as close?
Not at all. We weren't close. She didn't like me.
And how did that affect your relationship with Mr. Combs?
It made things hard. She was always with him. I believe she had strong opinions about me, and those opinions influenced how Sean treated me.
Jane, I'd like to revisit your messages from around Halloween 2021. Do you recall texting Mr. Combs that you wanted to see him?
Yes, I do.
And he replied that he'd had a rough day and wanted you to lead tonight?
That's correct.
You responded by suggesting the two of you freshen up, have a drink, and see where the night goes?
Yes,
Did Mr. Combs mention he didn't feel like being around people?
he did.
And the two of you ended up having what you referred to as a hotel night after those texts?
Yes, we did.
Now, the next day, you texted someone named Sly, asking for explicit videos. Is that correct?
Yes, I was with him at the time. He asked me to reach out to Sly for those videos.
Then a few days later, you texted Sly again, this time saying, "I'll organize," and asked about a visit?
Yes, we were still together, trying to plan when we might see Sly.
You mentioned earlier that you were pursuing a modeling career. Can you tell the court a bit about that?
I did some modeling, yes, mostly commercial work.
These were exchanges between you, Mr. Combs, and an adult film performer named Cabral. Do you recall those?
Yes,
These messages included sexually explicit content, correct?
they did.
Let's turn to the text messages between you and Mr. Combs from November 2021. Do you recall planning to see each other?
Yes, I remember.
In those texts, Mr. Combs asked you to be explicit, correct?
That's right.
And in response, you sent him graphic messages involving yourself, Mr. Combs, and someone you referred to as an entertainer?
Yes, because that's what he wanted. That's how he liked to communicate.
You both exchanged a series of these fantasy messages. Eventually, Mr. Combs asked what you wanted to do. How did you respond?
I said I wanted to spend time with my favorite person.
After that, did he ask if you wanted him to come with an entertainer?
Yes,
Did you agree to that?
I did because that was the only option I was given, and I wanted to see the one I loved.
I'm now going to read aloud a message you sent to Mr. Combs. Reading, "I want to sit on your face." Do you recall sending that?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain the context of that message?
It was part of a sexual exchange. That kind of talk was expected.
And in these messages, you also used the water drops emoji several times. What did that emoji suggest?
It was meant to suggest sexual arousal or desire. It was part of the way we communicated.
Jane, in several of these messages, you describe in detail what you would do to the entertainers Mr. Combs hired for these so-called freak-offs. Do you recall those texts?
Yes, I do.
Were those your actual desires at the time?
No, those were things that wouldn't have occurred to me on my own.
Then why send them?
Because that's what he wanted to hear. I was giving him options, trying to please him. It wasn't about what I wanted. It was about keeping his interest.
Let's talk about one of the more graphic messages you sent to Mr. Combs. You initiated the exchange, correct?
Before I answer, I just want to say this wasn't who I naturally am.
Go on.
I felt like I had to speak that way. I needed to keep him happy. I was, in 2021, really madly in love and wanting to please him and appease him.
So this message, it wasn't about your own desire?
No, I was being agreeable. That's what he liked, so I adapted.
Jane, you offered to buy black matrix underwear for Mr. Combs, correct?
Yes, to please him. I knew it was something he'd like.
So you knew that kind of language, that kind of gesture turned him on?
Yes, but it wasn't real intimacy. It was just what he expected from me.
Did he often offer you one-on-one time?
Rarely. Most of the time, the option he gave me was him and Paul.
And when you agreed to that?
I said yes because I wanted to see him. Meeting with an escort was my only option. I wanted to see my lover.
In some of the later messages, you brought up the idea of attending sex parties, correct?
Yes.
Why did you initiate that?
Sean had been telling me about them. He said we should go to one.
So this was your idea or his?
It was his. I was just giving him options, saying what I thought he wanted to hear.
Did you and Mr. Combs discuss hiring escorts like Don and Cabral?
Yes, he often brought them up.
In fact, you reminded him that he wanted to save Cabral for a grand finale. You called it a showstopper, big boom, game over situation, didn't you?
Yes, I was trying to delay it, just making excuses to get out of something he was pushing me to do.
Let's talk about the voice messages from November 22nd, 2021. Combs told you, "The last vision we had included Don and Sly, the entertainers you used frequently."
That's what he said.
You replied suggesting he wait until after the album dropped. Why?
Like I said, I didn't want to go through with it. I thought if I played along and pushed it down the line, he'd drop it.
But later you saw on social media that he was with another woman?
Yes, he told me he wanted to see me, but there she was, posting with him.
And in your texts, you expressed frustration. You said he pressured you for hotel vibes with Don and Sly, but spent that time with someone else, someone he bought a Chanel bag for?
Exactly. I gave in to things I didn't want, with strangers, and still didn't get the same care or treatment.
Mr. Combs gifted you a Van Cleef necklace and a Bottega Veneta bag, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
How much do Bottega bags usually cost?
How much does my body cost?
At this moment, the judge told Jane, "Ms. Jane, please answer the question as asked."
Again, how much does a Bottega bag run?
Around $1,500 to $5,000, depending on the bag.
And do you know how much a Chanel bag costs?
No, I'd like a break.
After that question made by the defense, Jane took a break. Then they continued.
Earlier, you testified that your current home is quite different from where you used to live. Can you remind the court how large is your current residence?
It's about 5,300 square feet, much larger than my old apartment, which was 1,400 square feet.
And one of your businesses, that was started with a $20,000 investment from Mr. Combs, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And he never asked for a share of the profits?
No, he didn't.
Yet earlier, you said you weren't able to do anything professionally during your relationship with Mr. Combs. Is that still your position?
Yes, had I not dove headstrong into that relationship, I probably would have been a bit more successful in that time frame.
So the relationship held you back?
In many ways, yes. Had I not dove headstrong into this relationship, I probably would have been a bit more successful in that time frame. But that's neither here nor there.
And that was it for today in the Diddy trial. What do you think about the defense's questions? So far, who do you think is doing better? The prosecution or the defense? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you tomorrow.